And good afternoon, those of us on the East Coast. Good morning to those of us on the West Coast. And good day to everyone around the world. I am Fennicini, bringing you the lovely North American Racing League Sunday Cash Races. Every Sunday, with the exception of next Sunday, because it's Mother's Day, from now until for a hot minute until the end of September for qualifier. Individuals that take part in this get the chance at $100 if they're in the top 3, $15 of iRacing credits if they are in the top 10, and a blast of racing action this week. Take a quick dive away from our practice, which we're wrapping up here in a moment. Say a moment, about 15 minutes worth of time left, and we're going to take a quick look at where we're at today. Kind of just been talking about what we are, what we're doing, and while I think the sizing is a little bit wonky, we'll work with it. Right now, NARL Sunday Racing, we're at Watkins, Glen. The boot configuration is, or the full course configuration is how we like to call it. It is in country of USA, as always. It's I think the most used iRacing track out of all the ones they have on the service. Watkins, Glen is in a series somewhere, all the time. So, that is where we're at today, 3.36 miles, 112 degrees in the air. Sorry, 112 degrees on the track, 68 in the air. Pretty close to floor level, so fun, interesting racing. One of the most well-known tracks in general. So it is a fantastic one. We're seeing some good racing on. Really small, close margins between the top, I would say almost top 10, top 20. Top 10 are all in the 153s, getting from the 143s, if I can English today. 143.30 is the current best time set by Sven-Ole Haas. But all the way down in P10, Jason M. Allen with that 143.8. I think there's going to be, 81. I lost who I was looking at, and I moved up to Lewis Woods, and I was like, they said 143.75. That's because that's a 143.75 for Lewis Woods, too, up in P8 currently in practice. Seen a lot of interesting laps this time. I'm very fascinated to see how this will pan out into an hour and 20 race. After this last 10 minutes of practice, we go into 10-minute solo qualifying. Keep it nice, simple, even, level playing field for everyone to get a good lap time in. And then they will be, from there, set loose for an hour and 20 race. A set, trying to remember if I have it easily on hand. I know there is a fuel cap. If not, I'll find it real quick. I'm talking about it. We have a bunch of regulars over from the Thursday League. If you also want to be a part of this racing action or racing action that North American Racing League puts on, they have a fantastic Thursday League that runs as well as this Sunday Cash Races. These are open to the public, but the Thursday Racing League is in the league section. So if you want to check us out, NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com is the place to do it. Find all the links to wherever you want to go from there. Fuel, I was talking about just a moment ago before I did the nice little plug piece, is 55% for all of these vehicles. So they will have to make at least one pit stop over the course of this race. Based on the way this track is, I'm going to guess it's probably a one and done. No issues there. So, a lot of outlaps, a lot of people still in the pits. Total of 28 drivers on the field this afternoon. I say on the field, on the track this afternoon. And I'm excited. We're following along with Christian Gritzko for the moment, kind of just seeing where the iRacing determines it should be looking at stuff while I was getting everything set up, and so I'm just kind of letting it roll for just a moment longer. Christian Gritzko, one of many fantastic Thursday League drivers that have decided to hop into Sunday cash racing. Awesome. That has been confirmed for me by Scott. Live stewarding done by Scott Rister this afternoon as well. I've been sent messages that I should probably check sooner than I probably did. Oh, I was only about 3 minutes behind, so, you know. It should be some fantastic stuff. Live stewarding done, which I think will just elevate this race, I think, a little bit further. All the fantastic talent we have out here this afternoon, from the top of the grid to the bottom, 2 more hopping in. Going to be a busy week, I believe, for everyone involved. Aaron Vasquez currently sitting P2 in practice. Our winner, I believe, last time out. Yeah, last week. Yes, that was our winner last week, Nicholas Rubilar. Coming home P2 there, also in P3 this week. He was our winner on the 13th of April, first week at Road Atlanta. I've been informed and corrected in my broadcasting notes of 2 stops, probably, not 1 stop. I'll agree with the stewards on that and say that it is more likely of 2 stop, because I believe. But we'll have to see. Jason M. Allen, probably sitting in 10th, talking about that. Our driver, who was the last one, just had a 1:43.81 as the best lap time. You know, look at these margins. There's just thousands between all of them. And if you look at, if I switch over from the interval to the gap from the leader, it is equally small margins all the way down. Take a look at our track map here, wherever I find it. There it is. A busy track out here this afternoon. Many cars getting in the lap times, trying to see if they can improve on these speeds for their qualifying runs coming up here in just over 7 minutes time. Let's see if I hop on with hop back to sorry. Christian Gritzko wrapping out a lap. Let's hop on board, see what a lap looks like for those that are taking a lap around Watkins Glen this afternoon. This is going to be in the Porsche 911 GT3 R992, one of, 10 now GT3s that are available in that, as Christian then abandons the lap and then makes me so I have to find somebody else to go ride a lap along with. Who else is coming close to the start-finish line? Mitch Bonaventura. We'll hang along with him. I think he's also going into pit lane. Be my guess. All right, well, one of these people. One of the times, eventually I'll find somebody who's doing a nice hot lap that I can ride along with. Nicholas Mateo in this Lamborghini Huracan. 3rd time's a charm, I'm gonna hope. Hard on the braking zone in turn 1. One of the few, one a good handful of hard braking laps. I think he is also abandoning his lap. Great. Will somebody, abandoning that slide, faster traffic through. Pretty quick. Usually you're kind of flat out from the end of turn 1 all the way up through to the bus stop. Kind of finding the limit of the grip in these GT3 machines. And all these people driving out there know this. And then you're hard on the brakes into the bus stop as he has gone through it. All right, well, we'll find someone. Find someone that eventually is doing a cool lap that I can ride along with. Could have just stayed on with, I think, Daniel LaFuente, and I would have a better luck than trying to jump around and find somebody else. But I digress. 5 minutes or so left of practice, according to my timing tower there at the top left. 1 hour of practice started about 54 minutes ago. Saw plenty of improvement on the initial times there from an hour just beforehand. Now it is coming to an end. All right, if Daniel Alfuente starts another lap here, we'll ride on board with him and do at least one onboard lap. But I imagine he'll abandon his lap as well, just because it's apparently the thing that's happened. All right. Take a ride on board, see what a driver is going to be roughly looking at. It's not quite the cockpit view, but pretty darn close. You're allowed to use as much of this curving as you want to, as long as all 4 wheels don't go off of it. Like I said, flat out from turn 1 all the way up to the bus stop. And there's a lovely set chicanes that are pretty fast. Not really like a chicane, but a nice weave back and forth. You can take it pretty quick as well. Some nice light braking just to get the car rotated in. You want to get as close as you can to that wall without touching it. And then you're back on the gas in the middle of it to tear yourself out. Nice little engine braking and a little bit of real braking here as you go into what is called the chute, which takes us down to the boot portion. Which is why this track is called the boot. Or this variant, I should say. It's called the boot. Come around a nice set of winding hairpins down to the toe, which is turn number 7 in this configuration. Back up to the heel of the boot. The reason it's called that, as you see on that track map there, it kind of looks like a boot, or at least a shoe of some kind. So, wow, I'm here. Sorry I'm late. Welcome to the live stream, Cody. I'm happy to have you along board as I talk about cars for an hour. It's 20 minutes. And then some change. As he comes over the last couple corners, curbing there, really catching him out. You got to be very careful on those last couple corners. You're right on the unlimited grip again, just kind of like you are at the beginning of the lap. You come across that start-finish line to round one out with Daniel Lafuente, who has found his way, coming to a stop. Thank you to Daniel for letting me ride along board with you for just a lap. Let's see where iRacing wants to take us. Over Devin Jenkins, another one of our Thursday regulars, if I'm remembering correctly. And Lewis Woods of Scotland. Fantastic stuff. Currently sitting in P7. We talked about him a little bit earlier when I was getting the numbers of timing pace mixed up. He's moved himself up the order, a position from 8th to 7th, passing Nicholas Mateo, the 143.61. Thomas Brendel there, having a little bit of an off, as well as the car behind him. But he abandons his lap of practice. Scott's never going to have me back. Fantastic drift by Andrew Lemke there as we're watching along iRacing, deciding to show us the fantastic drift. He's trying to save it from overcooking it. I believe it was into the chute, if I was looking correctly. Ooh, dangerous lunge up the inside. I think a bit of a off track. If you get a little loose on the bus stop, you will have to take a slow down. I think that's what people there is telling us. Currently 19th. Nico Wiuzbicki get an improvement on his lap, 2 thousandths of a second behind Miguel Colon. See if we can improve further into the top 20 from where he is when he started. I think that was a rough lap there for Mitch Winovin. Not Mitch Winovin, sorry. Eric Bolton is the driver there. That I was trying to say that was Mitch Bonaventura, but Mitch Bonaventura is in the pit lane, so not of much help today, am I? Oh, Eric Bolton getting real loose there. Manages to recover it from a gnarly slide as practice comes to a close. So I'm going to follow along, see what our drivers are going to be doing here for the start of qualifying. 10 minutes, 2 laps. We have all the opportunity for some solid running. Sven Ole Haas is the fastest in practice. I'm going to see what his lap time looks like as he gets the tires warmed up on that gridandgo.com esports Porsche 911 GT3 R parenthesis 992 and parenthesis. One of many cars on their outlaps. You can see those times there as we'll be going through it. We're probably getting a lot of them. But we'll see when we take another ride on board with the Porsche. See how he handles this car and gets it all warmed up. You can see him weaving to get those tires into the temperature window. Pretty forgiving compared to some of the prototypes that they have now on iRacing, but still want to maximize the grip you get on your 2 flying laps. Wide on exit there. Really getting those tires warmed up for the flying lap here. Let's see if I take off our outlaps. We start our flying lap times, see where everyone's at. Mitch Bonaventura, all these individuals starting their first flyers. As we'll see them kind of come across the timing board here. Pop this back out. As it will just cycle through all these individuals, a total of, I think it's 34? Sorry, 32 entries this afternoon, unless somebody hops in here in the next 10 minutes for qualifying. Sven Haas on his first of 2 flyers. Hop in on the roll bar. The Porsche sounding a little different than the Lamborghini Huracan due to its, different engine and placement of that engine. Hopping over the curbing there on the bus stop. Fantastic stuff. As long as you keep, I think he clipped too much on the inside there, abandons the lap. And he'll reset back to the starting point to see if he can get a better one. Yannick Steinhoff, I believe another podium finisher in these Sunday cash races for NARL. No. Where do I see his name? Oh, no, but he is a regular. Sorry, 3-lap qualifying, not 2-lap qualifying. I've been corrected again. I'll probably get corrected a lot over the course of the point. Apparently I can't English. Can't read things. David Bozga setting the fastest time so far. The 143.57. Nico Wierzbicki, Yannick Steinhoff, Mitch Bonaventura, Christian Grisco. A bunch of names flying in with their lap times. Good stuff. A fantastic spread of time as well. I'm interested to see how much these individuals will improve and tighten the gaps between each other over the course of their next 2 flying laps, because they have 3 total that I got backwards. Aaron Vasquez going a 10th faster than David Bozga at the front. Our winner from Road Atlanta last week, setting himself up well in tying points there. lap times everywhere from 143.41 that Aaron has set all the way down to the 2:02s and 2 minutes flat from Nicholas Mateo, which I think those lap times are definitely just rough ones they banked there. Lewis Wood sitting in 151.0, not, I would say, an improvement. I think an off track there keeps it from being a lap that is counted. A lot of individuals getting off tracks there and invalidating lap times. Sven Ole Haas getting, I think, a better time on the board than he had previously. So it was, just counted all his whole lap as one flying lap, and that was not the case. He was on his next out lap to actually start his first fly. Andrew Lemke, we saw him go flying in, sorry, not flying, but sliding, power sliding, and drifting through this corner specifically as he gakes his way. I think that'll be maybe an off track there, but we'll see how well he goes. Keeps going on. Rest of the times filtering in for a lot of people. Daniel Lafuente setting a much better time with a 131.51. Less than a tenth behind Aaron Vasquez, so pretty tight. Top of the grid order here is to be expected based on what we saw in the past couple weeks from individuals. Jason Allen setting a much more representative time as well for 144.13. Devin Jenkins looking to put himself further up the order, 146.11. More of these drivers get their laps complete. Lewis Woods coming across the timing board puts himself all the way up in P3 with a 143.53. Fantastic stuff. Sven Ole Haas getting purple first sector and green sectors for himself for the rest of those, which means that I believe he will be setting a 144.5. Or sorry, excuse me, 143.45. My qualifying timing ticker stops at about a second after than I think it should. But puts him into second, bumps Lewis out of the points, or sorry, not the points, the podium. About 9 drivers yet to qualify. We're set qualifying lap times. Our first weekend winner is one of those, Nicolas Rubilar, as he's getting through his lap time. Coming up the lovely S's to kick off a lap. And that's Drago Racing Machine. Bunch of other lap times in for a good litany of cars, as they are not all faster. Nicolas Rubilar, though, however, setting a purple sector 2, going fastest out of everyone here, but a yellow sector 3. We'll see how that puts him in how he goes against Aaron Vasquez, Sven Ole Haas, David Bozga in the top running order. Both David Bozga and Daniel Lafuente improving on their times. He's on the way to set a much faster one with all of those. Bumps himself up to P7, that middle sector, catching him out further than he wanted with a 143.63. 2/10 behind the leaders and a very tight set of the top 10. Less than a minute left of qualifying. 8 drivers still have yet to do so. Sorry, 7 now, as Benjamin Tobar comes across the line to set his lap time. Felipe Alves And Pinter, Zombie 2, well, Zombie, both looking to set qualifying laps. Other 8 drivers have yet to do so or take to the track. We'll see if they make the grid. And unable to set a time there, Pinter Zombie will have to start from the back of the grid. Speaking of the grid, let's take a look at it, see where we're at with everyone. Aaron Vasquez with the Grid and Go Porsche 911, setting the pace there with 143.410. Alongside him, Sven Olehouse, also with Grid and Go, setting a fantastic front row. Third is going to be Dave Vazga. Daniel Lafuente shares the second row with him in fourth. Lewis Woods in fifth. Jarno Koch, I believe, is going to be in sixth. Nicholas Rublar in seventh. Jackson Resende in eighth. Nicholas Mateo and Jason M. Allen round out your top 10. Paulo Goody and Nico Wierzbecki, 11 and 12. Lucas Souza, Yannick Steinhoff, Chris Beats, Miguel Colon, Thorsten Ulrich, Timo Grossman, Mitch Bonaventura, Benjamin Tobar, Lucas Finco, Christian Grisco, Eric Bouton, I assume, and Alberto Trudeau are your first 24. If I hit the button one more time to go all the way to the end of the grid, we also have Carbon Forte, Devin Jenkins, Umat Yagtsi, Andrew Lemke, Pinter Zombie, Philippe Alves, Scott Rister, Thomas Brendel, Alexander Renegay, Bruno Aria, and AJ Wilkins round out the 35 cars on the grid. The last, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those did not set a time. 7. There we go. All right. With that, let's take a look where everyone's at on the grid. Everyone is starting to form up for the race here. All 30 of the 35 drivers take to the grid, and they are getting underway. See all of them starting to get their tires up to temperature as they are falling behind the pace car for their formation lap. Next time by, they will be going green for an hour and 20 minutes of racing. Projected to stop by the stewards. I'm excited to see whether how or not that pit strategy will be an important factor for the drivers this afternoon. Or morning if you're still over on the West Coast. Or morning if you're in Australia. Zippering in a single file through the bus stop. One of the easiest ways to take that without getting into unnecessary slowdowns. Be interested to see how the start goes for all of these drivers and how cleanly they all get away. I guess we'll probably see 2 and 3 wide going into the start finish straight, but we'll see whether or not my predictions are correct in that regard. As they get out of the boot and onto the last couple corners, we'll see them go green flag racing for an hour and 20 here in just a moment. Enjoy the wiggles in chat. The pace car coming in as they tighten up the field and get ready to go racing here. Bring him back down to the grid. Green flag hanging, getting ready to be waved. As you hear them all start to spool up the cars. And the green flag is out. Great launch off from Aaron Vasquez. Holding on to second as all of these cars fan 2, 3, 4 wide. If I can hit my buttons. We look at a spinning Daniel Lafuente at the beginning of this. Aaron Vasquez getting a great run here. Lafuente jumping to the pits after a rough start from the looks of it. The rest of the field all changing order here as a litany of crashes seems to be happening further back in the field. Christian Grisco, one of the many caught up in that. Timo Grossman. Excuse me. Timo Grossman is who I thought was Christian Grisco. I can't do anything correctly today, but we'll get there. Rest of the field seems to be doing well. Seminole and Haas chasing down Aaron Vasquez and David Bozga, hanging in third, kind of how they were at the start. Lewis Woods up one position from that initial crash with Daniel Lafuente. Devin Jenkins, another individual, I think, caught up in that crash. One of the crashes going on. See how we're going. Thank you. Thank you, Jaden. Hope you're having a good afternoon here. As we are watching these cars get through the first lap as they come out of the boot section of the course at Watkins Glen. Top 10 all still running well. Paulo Gotti up to 2 positions into 9th. Jason Allen holding his spot that he started in 10th. Nicholas Mateo and Nicolas Rubilar also up 2 positions respectively. I'm curious to see what happened to Daniel Fuente at the start here. Oh no! Another one adding to the pile. Nicholas Mateo finding the outside of the barrier after the car, I think, got loose on him. We'll add that to the list of... I want to see what happened to Daniel Lafuente here at the start of the race. Green flag in the air. And does he get tipped? I think he does. A little bit of a touch there. Let me see if I can look at it again from Lewis Woods' perspective. We can hop on board this left front here. Nice and close, but respectful. We'll see if that corner panel just finds... Oh, yeah. The corner panel just finds itself in the right rear of Daniel Lafuente. We have this much bigger accident further on. Yannick Steinhoff, as well as a few other individuals caught up in it. Let's take a quick look at this. Luis Finco, Timo Grossman, all tap up earlier. Leads him to get caught up in that and get rear-ended. Oh my gosh, there's much more carnage going on there. All right. Anyway. Sentinel Haas still chasing down Aaron Vasquez at the top of the field. Lewis Woods falling back behind Jarno Koch. We've having a bit of a moment there. A lot of early incidents causing individuals to jump to the pits. Some of them back out on track. Nicolas Mateo is one of them. Let's see. This is fastest lap from Nicolas Rubilar. So he got 3 positions in 4th from his 7th position at start to the race. Andrew Limke also in pit lane after, I believe, a crash as well. And tight bunches of racing here. So we look at this battle for the lead. Aaron Vasquez keeping Sven Haas in a respectable distance, about 4 tenths. And David Bosga kind of just hanging out in the wings, waiting, 5 tenths behind them. Nicolas Rubilar is trying to look and see, how can I get around these cars? I'm a whole tenth, almost a tenth faster than even Aaron Vasquez. And where do I get into this to where it's not an issue? Taking another jump back. Look at Nicolas Mateo's crashing earlier. Coming out of the last couple corners here at the end of the boot. And a nice right-hander setting up for a solid left hand on the start-finish stretch. I wonder if he gets loose on this curbing here and causes himself to go wide. Oh, catches the grass on the outside there. Snap oversteal, pushes him into the wall. Narrowly avoids crashing into another car. Takes the jump out to pit road as quickly as possible to avoid causing further incidents. And he finds himself down in 25th. Lewis Woods chasing down Jarno Koch still. Field starting to get spread out. Over a second for some of these gaps. Battle going on between Alberto Trulio and Miguel Colon for what is effectively P14. Christian Grisco in the back of these 3 as well in that Porsche. Just kind of hanging out, waiting to make the move as well. A couple of regulars from the Thursday league in a battle over position here. As they find their way through the bus stop cleanly. No problems there. Colon kind of running away with it from where he's at. Got it from a gearbox shot. You can see both Alberto and Christian Grisco in the background there from this Mercedes as it's going into the boot section, going down to the toe. And quieting down just a little bit. Thorsten Ulrich battling Nico Rosbecki for P12. Not far in the background there, I believe, is lapped traffic. Umat Yaxi also crashing from where they were. They end up down in 22nd now. And Aaron Vasquez still holding off this train of cars behind him for the overall lead of the race. 3 Porsches and 1 Lamborghini in this battle for first. Jarno Koch still trying to chase down these 2 and keep Lewis Woods behind him. You can see those 2 in the background there. A Ferrari and Acura duking it out as they continue to file through into the chute. See how much I can whistle there. Lucas Souza up 3 positions, trying to hunt down. Excuse me. He's not trying to hunt down. Jason M. Allen is trying to hunt down Paulo Godoy, I want to say, and Jackson Resende for overall P7. They are close enough to be considered in this battle box here. I've got floating around, looking at the lap times. Those folks have all the individuals. Allen just a little bit slower over the past few laps, but most recent lap found another 2 tenths to Godoy after a slower first one, kind of getting the time back to him. Timo Grossman finds himself back in the wall from where he was in 22nd, jumps back to pits. And that gets moved around as a result. This battle for 7th continues. Battle for the lead. Still remaining at about where it sits. See, it's right on board with Nicholas Rubelar. See what he's seeing in the trio of Porsches in front of him from this Lamborghini Huracan. Got a good run here on David Bozga. David Bozga not willing to give up position on the inside here. See who lifts first. Oh, they go too wide. I believe David Bozga gets caught up in that and ends up getting crashed. Let's take a quick look here. What happens to David? We saw kind of the car disappear. We heard a little bit of the tires squeal. Let's see a little bit of what happens here for David as they get into the bus stop. And just trying to find room there and does not find enough. Gets sent out wide over the curbing as a result. He jumps the pits after hitting that rear bumper. The rear end, much more delicate on the Porsche due to the engine being there instead of kind of in the middle or in the front. So he's got himself towed back to pit lane. As we field continues to spread out a little bit. Jarno Koch keeping Lewis Woods right behind him. Kind of look on from a couple of the angles that we have available to us. This battle, the battle for the lead, now just down to just Sven Olejas and Aaron Vasquez, also raging on as two of them find time. Christian Briscoe continue to try to find and make a pass on Alberto. Let's see if he's successful. Miguel Colon now finds himself trying to take the fight to, Nico Rosbecki trying to find himself taking the fight to Thorsten Ulrich, who has a very mangled front end. I think one of the many incidents that happened early on in the race, that set of crashes up the S's. Definitely compromised that car's aero by, I think, a decent margin. But Thorsten Ulrich does not seem fazed by it. Carmen Forte in the pit lane. We are 10 minutes in, so I think first stop for Carmen from Benelux. And they are out of the car. Mitch Bonaventura down in 18th. One of many cars caught up in that, in the Sudi machinery. Good friends of ours over at the OMEC paddock from time to time. Lovely to see him out running and doing a pretty great recovery. I would say pretty good recovery race by comparison to the initial start. This battle for P11 still raging on as Nico tries to find his way around further up the order, kind of condensing the battle between Jarno Koch, Lewis Woods. Now also includes Nicholas Robilar, who originally was in front of them, or still is in front of them, but originally was much further ahead in front of them, tune of about 2 to 3 seconds. And now he is down to 7/10. Battle for third is on. Here, look at the lap times, the most recent set of laps. I'm kind of curious to see where the time is for all of them. Both of them seem to be going faster than Rubelar. Rubelar having, I think that damage on, maybe damage, I don't want to say damage, but the contact with David Bozga certainly compromising the lines there that lap, and I think he's still on the recovery as a result. But both cars behind him up a few tenths last lap. These three duke it out. Igor Zbesky still trying to find pace there to get around Thorsten Ulrich. And Miguel Colon in the background finding a heap of time by comparison to Ulrich's pace. Whole 4/10, sets himself up for a pretty solid run here. Nico Wojtbecki as we make friends with the tree, desperately trying to find the pass that won't compromise his line. Not the boot area kind of has two great single straight lines to pass in, and otherwise it's kind of hard to do so in that sector of the course. Late on the brakes for both of them. Both of them are going wide on that curbing and make their way around to the start-finish line. Utilize all that road, all that curbing. We see the little puff of smoke. I think that'll probably be on our end as the sim kind of just extrapolates time and all that stuff. And the actual car placement can be not a impact, but it'll say that there was one, even though there isn't. Kuzbiki not finding the time he needs to make this pass. But Jason Allen, Paul Godoy, almost too wide, but thinks better of it, tucks in. And Jackson Resende all duking it out. Say all duking it out. Jackson Resende kind of a little bit further ahead of them. But Jason Allen, Paul Godoy certainly in this battle for 7th. Jason Allen's in 8th. See how these moves are setting up. Definitely it looks like a lot of people are trying to find the pace as well as find the ability to kind of keep it tidy, do some fuel saving, kind of make that second stop a little bit lighter on fuel, or the first stop if they really want to do a interesting undercut type situation. Just kind of prioritize which fuel stop goes at which spot in the race. Current battles on track. Aaron Vasquez, 7 Nolan Haas, currently still 1 and 2, about 4/10 separating them, as you can see there on your timing board. Jarno Cook and Lewis Woods are also in a battle for 4th, with Nicholas Rubelar half a second up the road in 3rd, also not far off from a battle there. Currently right along and looking at Jason Allen, trying to take the position away from Paul Godoy, just looking for that last 10th in order to make up the actual distance to get himself a good spot to overtake, and trying to bide his time. Both of them going faster than P9 behind them. 3 seconds between this gap and Lucas Souza, and a bit more of a spread out feel from behind that. Nico Wierzbicki say that every time, finally getting around Thorsten Ulrich, and that battle as it now continues. A second down for Ulrich, as I think that pass was made. Let's take a quick look at it while we have the opportunity to. I guess in the bus stop, based on how close these two are here, yep, definitely the side draft. How close they are, just getting a great run. And Thorsten Ulrich kind of backs out, allows the pass, doesn't want to fight it too deeply, because that is always a dangerous spot, as we saw with David Bosga earlier on in this race. He still has to fend off Miguel Colon behind him. Kristen Gritzo still trying to work his way around Alberto Trillo. Trillo? Yeah, Trillo. There we go. One of the 3. Let's see the top 5 there. Vasquez, Haas, Rubelar, Koch, and Woods all in pretty tight spacing. Only about 2 seconds, almost 3, separate these drivers from each other. If we swap over at interval to gap and see how it is just under 3 seconds from the first leader to P5, and a big jump there, about 5 seconds from P5 to P6. Jackson Resende having a pretty solid lead over Jason Allen. That lead is closing. Jason Allen finds time there. I think there is definitely Jason Allen working his way up the field. Started in 10th, now in 7th. 2/10 separate these two drivers. Sven-Ole Haas, Aaron Vasquez. Aaron Vasquez was our winner last week in the Sunday Cash Racing. If you want to be part of that action, you want to come join one of these, or if you want to join the Thursday League for North American Racing League, all that can be found at NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com, which I believe is in the description of this video, of this live. Check us out. If it seems like something up your alley, you love GT3 racing, you want to get some more of it, it's a great place to do it, either here on the Sunday Racing Sunday cash races or the Thursday league itself. 2 divisions, 4 different iRating brackets. Fantastic stuff. Great racing all around. A lot of friends over there that speak highly of it. So, Lewis Woods, 1/10 behind Jarno Koch. Still kind of in this group of 5, all kind of vying for overall lead. The rest of the field pretty spread out behind them between lap traffic, early crashes, really stretching this field out. We are 20 minutes in. We still have an hour to go. Plenty of time for these drivers to make their moves whenever they feel like they are able to. I have to imagine, if you're one of the people I think in this top group, you're probably trying to figure out, am I fuel saving? Or am I just pushing to make the time? Or am I doing a little bit of both? Let's see what time they can make up. Since it's only an hour and 20, my guess is they're probably going as fast as they can. And do a little bit of fuel saving if they can, but they're not trying too hard to do it. Battle for third continues on between the 3 of them. Nicolas Rublar still about 5 half a second, 5/10, 7/10 right now, but anywhere from 5/10 to 7/10, depending on where they are on the lap. Ooh, Jason Allen looking for the pass on Jackson Resende in the back of that shot that we just saw. Wants to go on the outside, isn't able to find the room there. Paulo Godoy working to also keep up with Jason Allen. Jason Allen got past him a couple laps ago. And Jason's now trying to find the way around Resende, keep working his way up the order. Jason Allen had great pace in the start of this race and in the practice. So I'd have to imagine that he also has fantastic pace here. And the consistency seems to be paying off for him as he's up 3 positions from where he started. Ooh, curious. I always feel a little anxious whenever I see a little puff of smoke come up from the simulation extrapolating that a car has made contact with the wall, but probably isn't the case. We don't see anything rough on that left side of that Porsche, but Jason Allen has the draft going into the S's here. We'll see if he can close that distance. 1/10 of a second separates these two, pretty much right on the rear bumper. That diffuser there doing a little bit of work keeping the car planted. Jason Allen's around the outside. He's going to end up ceding the position back, though, because he doesn't want to crash it. He doesn't want to crash Jackson Resende in the process. Lucas Finco, our only other Acura driver. We only have 2 of them. Lewis Woods in 5th position there, you see. Lucas Finco is our only other Acura driver this afternoon in the 007. He is in for his first pit stop. One of 2 that is theoretically planned, but whether or not it will be, we'll have to see. Being given notifications by the stewards that the top 3 that have not already qualified will qualify for the 5K race, the finale in September. So it'll be interesting to see, as I believe both Aaron Vasquez and Nicolas Rublar of our top 3 have already qualified. So the answer I think I'm looking at for who qualifies then for the 5K final will probably be Sven Ole Haas, Jarno Koch, and Lewis Woods if everybody stays perfectly where they are right now, which of course won't happen, but that is where the numbers stand. So top 3 that have not already qualified will qualify. Ooh, a bump there. I say bump, they mostly just had a little jump over the curb. As they continue this race, this fight goes on. Been watching kind of some of the other groups of individuals working their way through. Miguel Colon now half a second behind Thorsten Ulrich. I have to think that damage to that Ferrari in front of Miguel is definitely causing a little bit of damage, or aero reduction, especially what kind of looks like when he doesn't have the drafts of a car in front of him. For a while it was Nico Rosbicki when he had finally gotten around Thorsten Ulrich. It seemed like he's losing a lot of time on the straights, especially with this Mercedes behind him, which they are known for their straight line pace. I think it's going to be an interesting time with Thorsten try to keep Miguel behind him as they continue to make their way out of the boot section onto the last couple of corners. Some quick ones, nice wide nice wide corners. As they do that, Chris Beets in from P10 for his first scheduled pit stop. Thorsten Ulrich also diving into pit lane for his first. At 25 minutes in, probably going to get that aero repaired would be my hope. And he will drop down the order along with Chris Beets. Jackson Resende still fighting off Jason Allen. Jason Allen still has his mirrors not full, as these cars make friends with curbing. Definitely has to keep in mind Paulo Godoy is not far behind. I feel like he's losing time here. If we will hop over to these lap times and take a look from Jason Allen's perspective where he's looking at. Yeah, he is right in the same pace as Resende, not fast enough to really pass him, except for that lap where he got a lot of time done. He hasn't found any more time since lap 11 to really increase the pace. And then he's been able to, Paulo Godoy behind him has found the pace to keep up with the two of them. Also looking at the battle here for P3, both Jarno Koch and Lewis Woods finding just a little bit of pace by comparison to Rubilar. Not much in terms of Lewis Woods, but Jarno Koch catching those hundredths and tenths of seconds to able to find the pace there. As Lewis Woods dives into pit lane as well for the first of what will be 2, I believe, scheduled pit stops. And they will dive in as well. Jackson Resende, Jason Allen both in as well. Paulo Godoy choosing to stay out. I'm guessing we have a bit of a fuel strategy coming in. Lucas Souza as well. Starting to come into play here as those who have the ability to are able to make their way, stay out another lap or two, or those that are coming in early to get stuff repaired, things of that nature. And Jarno Koch is probably pretty happy because he just has to worry about catching the car in front of him at the moment and doesn't have to worry as much, at least on track, about the car behind him. Now when he has to go in for his pit lane, obviously the overall pace of each of those drivers will be important there. So, I mean, it's not to say that he's not out of the woods and free and clear, but he doesn't have to worry about his mirrors being having a car in the middle of them that he has to keep an eye on, as well as trying to keep an eye on the car in front of him. Top 4 still only separated about 2 seconds if we hop over from interval to gap. And then a nice hefty gap between Jarno Koch and Paulo Godoy. Christian Grisco, Albert Trujillo, and Felipe Alves all diving in for their first pit stops. Pit stops running around 23 to 25 seconds for some of these drivers. Alberto Trujillo kind of losing out on this, and his battle against Christian Grisco is kind of coming to an end there, as Christian Grisco making a second and a half. Top 3, top 4 all in from their respective positions for the first pit stop. And we're going to keep an eye on these 4 here, kind of see where everybody comes out of this pit stop game and see where the order shuffles, because pit stops are a big deal here. Only 2 seconds separate the two of them, so it means only 2 seconds will, in theory, be all that any one of them needs to make up in pit lane time in order to get a better run out of it and take over the lead. Paulo Godoy, Nico Rosbicki also in from their respective positions. Both up 5. Great movers there. Miguel Colom staying out yet another lap, inheriting the lead of this race as we're watching and keep an eye on everybody. 22.63 on the jacks for Aaron Vasquez. Sven Haas 22.88 on the Jacks. 21.72 for Lewis Woods means he jumps up into what is effectively third. Jarno Koch losing out on that with a 23.75, the slowest of the four of them. And Nicholas Rubelar still in pit lane. Boogity, 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 boys. I'm curious what's happening here. He's in a pit lane. I wonder if he's serving a speeding penalty. Take a look at the time, because 20 seconds plus 40 equals a minute. And so if he's got a minute and some change, he will be serving that time penalty there as well. Battle for the lead, stretched out a little bit because of that fuel stop. 2/10 faster for Aaron Vasquez than Sven Ole Haas. Paulo Godoy kind of hanging around with Jason Allen. This one also a gap that he has to reclose for Jason Allen to Jackson Resende because of the pit stop cycle there. Whole 8/10 faster for Jackson Resende over Jason Allen. Alberto Trio has to find the pace to Christian Grisco now, as he was ahead of him before. Felipe Alves really gaining on both of these individuals, so 23 second pit stop, making great pace in general. Miguel Colon, our last of our on-lap drivers to make their way into pit lane. Nicholas Rubelar still in pit lane. We're on 2 minutes now for him. So we'll see where Miguel Colon cycles out. He sails out ahead or behind. I believe the fight with Christian Briscoe and Albert Trio. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's where he cycled out. Find out. See if I can keep all of these plates juggling in the air of all the things I have to keep in mind. With how it stands. All three of the individuals I was talking about being new to the group still remain the same. A lot of our drivers that had early pit stops, such as Mitch Buenaventura and Devin Jenkins, amongst some of the others, are finding their way up into the mix. Like I was talking about earlier, very good recovery drive for Mitch Buenaventura, who's currently sitting about 4 seconds behind Nico Wurzbicki and 2 seconds ahead of Miguel Colon, who comes out 2 seconds ahead of Christian Grisco. Or sorry, 7 seconds ahead of Christian Grisco. 2 seconds behind Mitch Buenaventura. Let's see what else is happening here. Let's take a look. I saw this happen, and I was busy talking about the battle on the pit lane to see where everybody shuffled into the cycles there. Thorsten Ulrich, we talked about him getting his car fixed up. He ends up crashing here. I want to see what happened. The car looks much more put together. We have a fast repair on offer, if I remember correctly, but I'll double check that. I'll have the steward tell me that I'm wrong once again. And he just gets loose over the curbing there initially, just doesn't let it ride enough, gets loose even further, crashes into the wall, takes the tow after losing control of it, sliding into the outside barriers of the bus stop. There we go. That was the words. Field continuing to spread out as we're driving here. Devin Jenkins in from where he had his first pit stop on lap one of the many drivers caught up in that early S's accident. Jason Allen now under fire from Paulo Godoy. They've had this battle before. Jason had the pace prior, but I think he has to recenter himself. And now especially doesn't have the draft of Jackson Resende, who has also been picking up speed. We hop over this lap time. I'm super curious to see what the last couple laps are. And Allen losing a bit of time to Jason Resende last lap. I wonder if he got a little loose, and that's what caused him for Jason Godoy to catch him so quickly. Yes, I have confirmed by looking at my kind of stats sheet on what this race has that there is one fast repair on offer for all of them to keep them in the race, which I think is very I always enjoy the utilization of fast repairs in especially short races like this, when you have about an hour race or 70, anywhere from an hour to 2 hour racing, and you have incidents, accidents, especially ones that you're not, even ones that you are, responsible for. You can just hop into your second car and get back going into the race. And you're not out for the rest of the afternoon, and your chances of scoring at least either points for a league or getting yourself back into a position of contention really are able to be kind of mitigated in a very fun way. Mitch Buenaventura in for his first full pit stop after, again, that lap one incident. So we're kind of looking on a battle for 12th. Christian Grisco trying to keep ahead of Albert Trillo and Felipe Alves. Felipe Alves having a great set of racing here, really keeping it together. I think he started from the back of the grid in P30 and is currently finds himself up 17 positions in P13. So fantastic racing there. Of all the cars we have out on track, we have, I'm trying to see who else we have, how many cars we have left. Maybe? Nope. Devin Jenkins is our last on-track racer in 17th. The rest have all either retired or are currently still in pit lane. Following along with this battle of this, one of two, Sven Ole Haas really kind of losing the pace there to Aaron Vasquez. And Lewis Woods now 2 seconds behind, kind of slowing down Jarno Koch, who currently sits in P4. As this battle kind of splits off into two separate battles. On-track action right now. These pairings for 1 and 2 right in front of them. Paulo Godoy really still trying to take the position back from Jason Allen in that battle. Goes really wide though. As soon as we hop alongside to see what he's doing, so we'll probably have to cede that time if he gets considered a slowdown. It may just be an off-track for him, which there is, I believe, a drive-through penalty. I can once again pull up my statistics of what is happening, what our incident limits look like. 15 incidents are for how many they can use before they are going to be forced to take a drive-through. Every 5 after that is when they'll get, I believe, another drive-through. I don't think they have a limit that will disqualify them, but every 5 after is a pretty harsh thing to kind of deter you. Albert Trillo getting passed by Felipe Alves. You see it here, kind of live. Felipe Alves getting a great run out of turn 1, really up in through the S's and forcing the move there. Now has to hold on to the position. Alberto Trillo down, still up 11 spots from where he started. Felipe Alves just setting fast time after fast time, still working his way up the grid from where he started. Jason Allen really under fire here from Paulo Godoy. Kind of keeping up with the 4 battles on track. The battle between Aaron Vasquez, Sven Ole Haas, up to a second, or darn near, with 8/10, as we are 4 minutes away. Can I math correctly? Yes, 4 minutes away from the halfway point. With an hour 20, that's 80 minutes. You divide that by 2, that's 40. That's math I had to do in my head. I'm going to do it out loud for you so that way you all understand the way I did. From Brazil, go Paulo Godoy, go Lucas Souza. Both doing very well. Kind of Paulo Godoy, Lucas Souza, kind of, I'd say almost 7th and 8th, doing really well. Paulo Godoy really kind of trying to find the last few tenths of pace to get around Jason Allen, as they both lost Jackson Resende. I'm curious. Let me see this lap time again. Love pulling this up to see the stats over the last 5 laps. Losing a lot of time there for Allen, and Godoy's not doing much better in terms of the getting to Jackson Resende. But if we just go with the battle between him and between him and Godoy. Godoy has half a second up in one sector, loses a little bit, but regains the spot that he lost on this most recent lap. So he's still in this fight, trying to take P6 away from Jason Allen, who is trying to find that last little bit of time, but he's so on the defensive now with no draft to keep him moving and all of the same machinery, so no benefits of the kind of different types of GT3s they have available. Makes for a fun mirror match sort of feeling as they come around the final corner to finish out lap 23 for them. Excuse me, lap 22 to go on to lap 23. Nico Rosbecki, I think, chasing down, Lucas Souza. Speaking of Lucas Souza. And he is on a tear, Nico is. About a second a lap faster than Lucas Souza in most of the sectors. So we'll probably see this one become a quick, hotter topic here in a couple laps' time. Watching this battle here, going back to Jason Allen and Paulo Godoy. 2/10 separate the two of them as they're going into this. Let's hop into a dynamic cam. I really want to see that different distance between them. 3/10 doesn't look like a lot on paper, but it's so, it's a good 2 car lengths between these two as they're going through it. Kind of hopping over there, and we're going to see a bunch of trees because I forgot dynamic cam is just trees and then a little bit of car racing. So we'll probably jump out of it here in a moment once I get fed up with trying to look at trees. But Paulo having some really great sectors here between Godoy and Allen. Felipe Alves, Alberto Trillo, all chasing down. Going to the battle box here, chasing down Christian Gritzko. And having a hell of a time doing it. But the trio kind of using the draft from Felipe Alves to carry him up back into the fight with Christian Gritzko. That battle was the other way around, with Christian Gritzko trying to pass Alberto in the first sector of this, or first stint, I would say, in sort of the pit stop cycle. And very much not a different race now. Very much not a different race now. Good English. Still a battle. But Felipe Alves has put himself in the middle of it, and now he has to figure out how to get around Christian Gritzko and keep ahead of Alberto Trillo, who he's gotten by. Meanwhile, Lucas Souza defending from Nico Rosbecki into the first corner, going up to the S's. Nico running a little wide there, but great runs from both of them. We'll see if the draft carries Nico up to and past Lucas Souza. This is for 8th, as you can see in that battle box there. But right along with Nico, let's take a look there from the roll bar. And he's lifting. I'm not going to try to push it into the bus stop. It's always a sketchy place to try to make a pass there. We saw it ban out very badly for David Bozka earlier on in this race. And he's still just hanging out behind him, trying to make the pass stick. Battle for 3rd, also still going on. Lewis Woods really losing time to Sven-Ole Haas, about 3 seconds back now. This battle for the lead was a 5-way fight. Then it became a 4-way fight after the pit stop cycle. Saw one of the front runners there, Nicolas Rubilar, unfortunately have some sort of pit stop incident, stuck in the pit stop for too long. Stewart tells me what the hell happened there. I will relay it to you as well, unless I can find out my information somewhere and I'm just not using my eyeballs correctly. I've learned I can't use that. Realize my eyes don't work as well as they should. So, with that, it became a battle for first became a 4-way battle, and now it's pretty much a 2-way battle between Aaron Vasquez, Sven-Ole Haas. Still about a second separating each of them. You can see them both on the screen here, kind of following along with Sven-Ole Haas, one of the fastest in in practice. Ended up second in qualifying behind Aaron Vasquez, our winner from last week. Paulo Godoy, I'm going to jump away from them real quick. Look at this. 10th, less than a 10 separating them. Paulo Godoy is going to slide up the inside. Jason Allen lifts and allows him through. Paulo Godoy up to P6, taking the spot away from Jason Allen, who has been losing time here. But I wonder if he's playing the fuel game at this point. We still saw, I think we see in the middle of all that, Nico Rosbicki. I think we saw this, but I want to double check it. Nico Rosbicki. No, we did not. Got around Lucas Souza. I'm going to take a quick look at this before we get back to the live action racing. And he just goes on the inside, late on the brakes, pushes out wide, and gets the job done clean. No hits. And he's now working his way back up the order. 10 seconds between him and Jason Allen for Nico to make up. Lewis Woods and Jarno Koch still also on a battle. That one's cooling off a little bit. About 6/10 between the two of them. You can see them both in the shot, and you can see how many car lengths are between them. As we are just past the halfway point. Bunch of pockets of racing still happening here on this NARL Cash Sunday, or Sunday Cash race. I think both were the right way to say it, but I said it the second way because it felt like the more correct way. If you want to be part of this action, come check us out. These are hosted sessions available to anyone who wants to join in on the fun. If you guys want to check out more about the league side of things, NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com is the place to do it. You can find it in the description of this here live stream, and I think most of our videos here on YouTube. And that will get you wherever you need to go to be a part of the league, to join in on these Sunday races. Top 3 of these Sunday cash races get $100 in cash, and the top 10 get $15 of iRacing credits to go buy more tracks, more cars, do more Sunday racing. So, with that, the top 3 who have not already qualified will then qualify for the cash final in September for $5,000. So, pretty exciting stuff on offer for all these drivers if they are able to keep it nice and tidy. Sven Ole Haas, Lewis Woods, Jarno Koch, the kind of provisional individuals who would get their qualifying stamp done this week. Aaron Vasquez won last week, so he's already got his stamp to the final. This battle for 11th with Christian Gritzko, Felipe Alves, Albert Trio, definitely still very, very heated. Seeing if Felipe Alves is just trying to find a way around Christian Gritzko. He's going to almost lose it out to Alberto Trio. Manages to hold on to it, but not by much. Tries to go around the outside from the chute into the boot. And Bruno has to bail out of the corner to not crash into Felipe Alves, who has really parked it on the apex. I watched the timing of these three kind of been sitting around half a second down to 1/10 of a second, which is where we hopped in with them, back up to half a second between all of these drivers. On down to a second for Alberto as he has to recover that pace that he found. Battle for the lead, stretching out even further. Sven Ole Haas having a bit of a rough time. I'm going to take a look at these lap times. I wouldn't say a bit of a rough time, but just a little bit slower in some laps, most recent laps, to the leader. And if we use the little thing where we can see the cars both faster and slower, Haas is losing out time even to P3 behind him, who he's been faster than pretty much up until this point. The gap closing down from 3 seconds, where we've kind of seen it grow to over the past 5 or so laps, and it's starting to reverse back the other way for Sven. He's got to find a little bit of time here. Felipe Alves still trying to fight Christian Gritzko. I'm watching that timer go down to 0. Christian Gritzko taking the inside line, not lifting. They go into the braking zone. Felipe lifts and gives the position back to Christian. Not willing to let him by easily. Definitely going to have to be fighting for it. Felipe Alves trying to get that Subi liveried Porsche in the rearview mirror instead of in front of him, up on a tear, running pretty consistent lap times there for these cars here. Paulo Godoy keeping about half a tenth to Jason Allen in this battle, both running wide there, but able to keep it on the track and not get themselves a slowdown. All right, taking a look here. We have Sven Ole Haas. I'm trying to see where else action is happening. It's kind of the 3 big groups we have right now. Jarno Koch on trying to find that last half a tenth to Lewis Woods as well, running a little bit faster on a couple tenths and then running a little bit slower by a couple hundredths. Tight margins for all of these drivers here in the top 5. Both Lewis Woods, Jarno Koch, Jackson Resende, all up 2 positions. Sorry, Jackson Sunday is up 3 positions. Paulo Godoy up 5. Jason Allen still up 3. Was up 4, and then he lost that out to Paulo Godoy shortly thereafter. Most of the cars still running of the 17 of the 35 that have registered for the session, and of the 30 that have taken to the grid, 17 still remain. About half the field having issues early on in the race, causing them to take a bit of a break. Maybe reset for not next Sunday, but the following Sunday, the 18th, if I remember correctly, of our times. As Coke losing a little bit of ground there in that final sector. I'm going to dive into, we've been looking at lap time history. Let's look at some sector history between him and then the car in front of him, Lewis Woods. And really, sector 1 seems to be the spot. Jarno, if we do this way, because this is the way that apparently it shows us the right thing that I want to look at, of the pace difference. Actually, I think it shows the same way. I think it's just weird how it words it. Jarno Koch having a great first sector by comparison to Lewis Woods. That Ferrari seeming to do a little bit better earlier on. Ooh. Oh, and I think they might. Bit of passing back and forth for Felipe Alves and Christian Gritzko. I'm going to take a quick look at that. Let's dive into the Wayback Machine. Not really that far back. The Wayback Machine. Felipe Alves finally getting around Christian Gritzko on the inside of the corner into the boot. Going down to the toe. Both there. And they just are too wide into the toe. Turn 7. Christian Gritzko getting a better launch there. Alberto also alongside at this point. Almost they go not quite 3 wide actually, but it looks like it's darn near. As they do so, Christian Gritzko on the inside line. Felipe Alves just turns in. And a little bit of contact there sends Felipe out wide. Christian Gritzko holds onto the place though. And then Felipe Alves diving into the first corner. Christian Gritzko losing out on both spots there from a little bit of forcing his way through of Felipe Alves, trying to get, again, just keep moving up the order. Hop back onto the live timing. Lewis Woods still 6/10 ahead of Jarno Koch. So we're looking at the lap time deltas there, trying to figure out where the pace seemed to be different, and it's the first sector that Koch seems to have the most luck, and then has a little bit slower time the rest of the circuit. Lucas Finco, our other Acura driver of GT3, in for his second pit stop. We'll probably see the second round of pit stops coming our way soon. He was kind of the harbinger, one of those two, of the pit cycle the first time by. I assume he'll be the same way the second time through. So, looking at a couple of on-track battles, same ones as before between Paulo Godoy, Jarno Koch, Lewis Woods, and then the trio of cars between Albert Trio, Christian Gritzko, and Felipe Alves. They all still find themselves pretty neatly packed into a fight here. I think Felipe Alves is going to try to see if he can break away from the two of them. Had amazing pace up until this point, up 19 positions for Felipe Alves from the 30th on the grid. I think our last starting driver, up all the way to 11th. As the three of them continue their way around the track, 52 minutes, almost 53, have elapsed. And we'll see them finish the last half hour. Not last half hour. Well, yeah, just under half hour of racing here at Watkins Glen with the NARL Sunday Cash Racing. We will be having a blast. Jason M. Allen in from P7, one of our first on pace runners to come in for his second pit stop. I'm curious if he has a lighter pit stop this time. He got a slower one the first time, but wonder if he is going to take that second stop and then run it till the end. 55% fuel capacity for these drivers, so that means that we'll probably see a good handful of them come in pretty soon to finish out the race. A full tank of fuel in the GT3 machinery under most circumstances runs about an hour, and some change, usually depending on the circuit and how much they're on throttle. With that being 55%, I would say it's a reasonable guess to do about half an hour's worth of fuel on a tank. And I think he's going to be doing that as he comes back into the fight, gets cycled back in right in front of Felipe Alves in this battle for 11th, which that should spice things up a little bit. Poor Jason Allen getting thrown into a battle I don't think he really wants to be in, nor does he think he should probably have to be in for too much longer. But he keeps the position from Felipe Alves of 10th, which will cycle back up to probably be about 7th once the fuel cycle is complete. Lewis Woods still holding off Jarno Koch for the bottom step of the podium. First two steps, about a couple seconds separate each one of them. Sven-Ole Haas slowly being reeled in, though, by Lewis Woods, now down half a second from that 3-second margin. But we'll see how that goes with the last half hour of racing remaining, and if that gets any further down. Now a four-way fight for P10, including Jason Allen, who has been in the fight with Paulo Godoy earlier. And we still have this battle going on. Kind of watching from Jason Allen. Let's see if we can hop into the gearbox. Or one of these. There we go. One of these is the one I want. This is the one I want. See all these cars behind Jason Allen as he's trying to make up some time and some distance to not be caught up in the actual fight here and lose himself precious time in that battle between himself and Paulo Godoy, which was happening before he got into the pit cycle. So seems like he's got the pace. Chris Beets also in for his second stop. First one was a minute. I wonder if he had a speeding penalty there of some kind. The pit lane travel time has begun for him to do the second. As we follow along with Jason Allen in this battle for what has now become 10th, essentially. But will eventually come back to be 11th. He's just cycled into this fight from where he came out of pit lane. Aaron Vasquez, Sven-Ole Haas also both into the pit lane from their respective spots. Jarno Koch diving in as well. Lewis Woods staying out, taking over the lead of the race. He will probably cycle back into third, which is where he was before of it, depending on how these pit stops go with these three drivers, and then with Lewis Woods, who pit stopped early on the first stint, now has run long on the second stint. I'm curious to see what the strategy there is. I'm thinking making a less fuel-intensive stop the second time around. Jackson Resende also in from where he was in fifth. Paulo Godoy keeping out. Nico Wierzbicki and Lucas Souza, I think, both slide in as well from 7th and 8th is where they currently stand. Miguel Colon, I think, if last time by was anything to go by, he's going to stay out and he'll take over what is essentially P5, or sorry, P6, as Aaron Vasquez, Sven-Ole Haas, and Jarno Koch all cycle back out from their respective positions. 18 seconds on the jacks for both Aaron Vasquez and Sven-Ole Haas. Jarno Koch now half a second less than that behind Sven-Ole Haas with a 15-second pit stop time. So it'll be interesting to see this battle for the lead and P2 podium positions. That's effectively what they are when you get through the pit cycle. Still heating up. Nico Wierzbicki, Christian Gritzko, and Albert Trio also into pit lane for their second pit stops. Curious to see how that battle finishes for the two of them in terms of the pit cycle. Mitch Buenaventura also in for his second official stop from where he was sitting in 13th, if I remember correctly. It was effectively, I think, 14th. The pit cycle between Christian Gritzko and Albert Trio a little bit different. 3 seconds separate the two of them. 19 seconds on the jacks for Albert Trio, and Christian Gritzko was on for 22. So a rather large difference. Lewis Woods into the pit lane from where he's at, got this lovely little shot here. Paulo Godoy inheriting the lead of the race. See how long he is on the jacks? 16 seconds. So he will filter out, I think, if I'm understanding all the timing correctly, he'll filter out behind Jarno Koch and end up back in fourth. So it's going to be a run down to turn one. Lewis Woods doesn't want to cede the position to him, but Jarno will have the run as he is not just coming out of pit lane. And so the position, I think, will go the way of Jarno Koch for what is essentially P3 in the final stop of the podium. That second difference between the two of them in the lap time, in the pit stop time of 15 seconds to 16 seconds, really paying off big time, I think, for Jarno Koch, which both of them are now within the draft distance of Sven Ole Haas, who is only a second behind Aaron Vasquez, not Jarno. Felipe Alves also into pit lane for his second official stop, 18 seconds on the jacks, according to my timing tower. Devin Jenkins, our last runner, as well, also into pit lane for his final stop. And we're down to the last 20 minutes of racing. Paulo Godoy probably feeling pretty good where he's sitting in P1, but I think he's still got a pit stop in him. This battle for what is essentially second in class. Let's pull up this battles box. We'll ride along with Lewis Woods, who currently sits in fourth, losing out in the pit cycle to Jarno Koch. See if we can't hit a button here. See what the roll bar looks like for these three drivers, as they are making their way out. Paulo Godoy in from the lead of the race for his final pit stop. I think that'll put him probably, my guess would be, just ahead or just behind Jackson Resende from where that battle was happening before. I'm curious to see where Jason Allen fits into all this, and if he ends up in front of or behind Paulo Godoy. Still riding along with Lewis Woods in this battle for, they call it battle for first. I would say is pretty effectively a battle for second, based on the lap times here, unless something crazy goes wrong within the last 20 minutes. Hopefully the broadcaster's curse doesn't come to play here. The rest of the field really fanning out with these pit times being very different. A 2-second gap between Paulo Godoy and Jason Allen, who we saw fighting earlier in the race. The battle for what was essentially 11th between Felipe Alves, Alberto Trillo, and Christian Gritzko, now separating all of them by over a second, and 4 seconds goes from Felipe Alves to Christian Gritzko at the back of that pack. So racing really right now, this is it at the front of the field. As we continue on, riding along with Lewis Woods for a little while longer. Hit the button to change cameras. It of course doesn't actually change the camera because the camera I was using is in both camera sets that I was trying to flip it to. The three of them here, Sven Ole Haas, Jarno Koch, and Lewis Woods, will all make it to we'll all get the qualifying. We'll all be qualified. Gosh, one of these three sets of words. We will all be qualified for the grand final, 5K cash prize final in September. Now, you want to get in on that yourself. Miguel Colon in the last pit stop of the runners there that are all currently running. He comes in for fifth. Had to leave the race on the first pit stop. I'm curious to see where he cycles out because he's going to have one of the fastest pit times of all of them here. But if you want to get into the action yourself, Sunday races, they're free in the hosted, open to the public. Top 3 gain $100 in cash, and the top 10 from there get iRacing credits, $15 of that, and it is a fantastic time, great racing, all up and down the board from the looks of it. 17 drivers of the 30 that started making their way towards the checkered flag. The battle raging on for second, effectively. Though, Sven Ole Haas making some time here, trying to get himself free and clear of Jarno Koch and Lewis Woods. The battle has been raging on since the start of the race. Christian Gritzko making up time here, trying to pass Alberto, who has a bad exit out of the toe of the boot, going into the heel. Now he's on the inside. Just taking a quick look at this pass here for P13. in the race. And he finds himself there. Mitch Benaventura in the back of that shot as one of our lapped traffic. One of two currently on the race. Sorry, one of six, excuse me. Currently somewhere on the racetrack. We're one of two that are actually considered a lap down in terms of from the leader. Battle for second. Sven Haas. 8/10 ahead of Jarno Koch. Lewis Woods 2/10 behind, still trying to dethrone Jarno for that final spot on the podium and a chance at $100 cash for him. Arbitrio trying to find his way back around Christian Gritzko. Down in 13th as well. And as we wind down, it's been I think a very interesting race in terms of attrition. 35 individuals registered, 30 make it to the start. A lot of individuals pitting early on from various incidents for the first about 5 to 7 laps of wrecks and other things, kind of thinning out the field, going from 30 cars to 17. But racing I've seen since then, the racing I think I saw even in that point, was very clean, very good. So, see how clean they can keep it on the last last 15 minutes. Curious to see what the best times are for all of them. Let's pop that out, see what we can see for the best time of all the drivers here. Best times from everyone there. Aaron Vasquez 133.482. The Sven Haas a 10th behind at 143.5. Half a tenth, 500ths behind from Sven Haas's Jarno Koch, and a couple tenths separate Lewis Woods and Jarno Koch. So I'm curious to see how all that will factor in. If they are able to pull off these best times again, Jarno Koch theoretically should be able to pull away from Lewis Woods towards the end of this race. Battle for second still rages on, however. We'll see where it falls. We still have plenty of time there. Lap traffic of, I believe that is Lucas Finko. And the wrong stuff Acura, our other Acura on track, allowing them all through for this battle for P2 and the final 2 steps to the podium. And Jarno reeling in Sven Haas from where 8/10 down to 5 over the course of a couple laps. We're kind of following along with Jarno Koch. If we look at our lap time indicators, tenths and hundredths separating these lap times from all three. Good, consistent racing from each of them to keep it themselves on the top of this podium, or on the second and third steps of this podium, excuse me, as Lewis is trying to find the way to make the pass. He's running out of time to do it in just under 15 minutes. He'll have to make that stick somewhere in there if he wants that piece of the pie on that podium. Trying to see what other on-track action really spread out throughout the rest of the field. Top 10, as I've kind of talked about, Aaron Vasquez, Sven Haas, Jarno Koch, Lewis Woods, Jackson Resende, Paulo Godoy, Jason M. Allen, Nico Rosbicki, Lucas Souza, and Miguel Paul are your top 10 drivers. Good handful of those in there. Thursday regulars as well. Currently out having some fun on the NARL Cash Race Sunday, not a league. It was a hosted race. 2/10 now separate Sven Haas, Jarno Koch. Another 2/10 between Jarno Koch and Lewis Woods. They're in a tight battle for second and third on the podium. And whoever comes out of this worse for wear will be the fourth driver, the only driver not to get the cash prize. But all three of these individuals should be qualified for the cash prize final in September, which I think is fantastic stuff all the same. Kind of looking around the field. Again, a lot of time separates all these drivers. You can see it in the timing tower there off to the left of the screen. A lot of time there. 22 seconds from Lewis Woods to Jackson Resende. As you see that gap between drivers kind of open up. All of them doing about a half second slower than their best as they're trying to fuel, I don't want to say fuel save, but definitely trying to make their way to the end in first. But you got to finish first in order to finish. You got to first finish in order to finish first. I think that's how it's supposed to go. 2 tenths separating each one of these drivers from the other. Nice tight group of cars. I'm gonna take a look. Hang around on board with Sven Olan Haas. Ole Haas, excuse me, not Ole. From where he is at, right there. And take a look at Jarno Koch, Lewis Woods. All three top drivers, I believe are part of Gringo.com's esports grouping, if I remember correctly, based on what their liveries they have available to us. Kind of seeing where the time is made here between all these drivers. Sector 1, faster for Jarno Koch, and that has been pretty consistent from him for a lot of the first top few drivers. You know, he's also faster in Sector 1 from him to Lewis Woods, but then ends up being a little bit slower. I wonder if the Ferrari has the pace there, but then has less pace in the final couple sectors, up 7 thousandths for Koch to Sven Ole Haas, and he ends up losing about a tenth overall to Sven Ole Haas. Jarno Koch does. And Chris Beats. I think we're having, hold on, let's take a quick look further down the order from this battle for third. Chris Beats trying to find his way. I think he just either found his way or just was trying to find his way to pass Felipe Alves. Let's take a look here. With 10 minutes left to go, just under, for all of these drivers. Chris Beats closing the gap. It was half a second. Now it's down to 3 tenths. And I wonder if Felipe is trying to do some late minute fuel saving. 25 seconds ahead of them is Miguel Colon, pretty comfortably in the top 10 for him. But Felipe Alves trying to work on the 11th spot of the podium. He's trying to defend it from Chris Beats, another individual with a decent and well-recovered drive, up to P12 from where he started in 15th. 3 tenths there. And the battle raging on. We're going to go back to the top 3 as we get ready to close out this race. 10th of a second between Lewis Woods, Jarno Koch. 4 tenths between them and Olan Haas in front of them. Not Olan Haas, sorry. Sven Ole Haas. There we go. I've been wording too much past 24 hours. But in the gap between these three in the battle for second, and Aaron Vasquez is up to 2 seconds, 2.84. This time I'm saying that. And you can see how far out these cars actually kind of end up feeling from each other as they all compress down into the chute and the first start of the boot. One of 2 kind of straightaways on it. Good place for passing if you have a great run out of the chute. Same here. If you get a good exit out of the heel, it being uphill though makes it a little bit harder for all these cars to get the power down and actually moving. But the race continues, and the time there still being found by all three of the drivers, taking the optimal line there that does run into the runoff, but is not considered an off track by iRacing standards, so you can use it as much as you'd like and not have any slap on the wrist. As we see a little bit of trees there, because once again, dynamic camera is friends with trees. The 2/10 there. And Aaron Vasquez, not talked about him much in this second half of the race. Currently leading by 2 seconds. Pretty solid run there for him. Once again, he was the winner last week. Seems like he will probably, again, unless something crazy happens in the next 5 minutes, he looks to be the winner for this week, or at least slotted to be coming home first with 5 minutes to go. Pretty big gap from these individuals and this group of cars in second, or all fighting for second. Between them and fifth, Jackson Resende having a pretty great race there, finding consistency, keeping himself ahead of Paulo Godoy and Jason Allen. Paulo Godoy, chat favorite, one of chat's favorites, able to make himself a solid finish in P6, up 5 positions from where he started in 11th. Jason Allen, Nico Urzbiki, Lucas Souza, and Miguel Colon are your top 10 drivers. Felipe Alves, Chris Beats, still on this battle for 11th, the first spot of outside of the top 10. Christian Gritzko, 8 seconds behind these two. Ooh, that looked like it might have been an actual hit into the wall there. But we'll see how that keeps going. He's really, I think, pushing to keep ahead of Chris Beats. Chris Beats finding the time here and there, just kind of keeping it steady and keeping a good run there. So, we'll see how that plays out. Albert Trillo getting passed by Christian Gritzko. This battle for these two has been on for a while. Let's see here. Just does it again down the inside. Chris Beats. Oh, taking it too wide through the bus stop as they go. And keeps it too wide through the outer loop, I believe it is called, into the chute, and gets the pass done on the outside, just hanging it around. A bold move. Pays off for him, though. Both drivers, both Chris Beats, Christian Gritzko, finding their way up positions. Still outside the top 10. And this battle for second, battle for second, including the battle for third, because it is not just a battle for second, is also still running strong. These three, 4 minutes left to go. Based on the lap times of 1:43, I'm guessing we got about 2 laps left, as Aaron Vasquez will probably pass the start-finish line with more than 2 minutes left, but it may not be the case. So we'll have to see. Solid run for him, still keeping about 2.8 seconds to Sven Olen Haas. And this battle for second still just rages on between all three of these drivers. Miguel Colon finding his way up to Lucas Souza in these late-minute battles, popping up all up and down the grid. Kind of a quiet second half, last kind of 20 minutes or so. But now this race is also on, so we'll keep an eye on that for the pass there. These three going 3 wide, as well as Jarno Koch trying to keep it out of, trying to keep himself on the podium, and Lewis Woods out of the podium. Fantastic consistency from all the drivers in the top 4. I think there's a couple drivers that are not making the checkered flag that definitely had the pace to be up here with these individuals. Oh no. I'll take a quick look at this, since I think we'll be coming around for the checker or the white flag next time by. Miguel Colon, Lucas Souza have been listed as crashed late in the race. I'm going to guess a late lunge from Miguel Colon does not go the way it's supposed to, but we'll find out. Two gun go up into out of the chute, out of the boot, and it just tips Lucas Souza, and he stops, allowing Lucas Souza back in front of him. Great showmanship there, and racecraft from the pair of them in terms of apologies via racing. So I believe this will be white flag or checker flag. Did I miss white flag? It's entirely possible. We'll find out here in a moment. See what the man says. White flag this time by for these drivers. One more time around the track to get a pass done between Sven and Haas, Jarno Koch, Lewis Woods for that bottom step of the podium, as well as the second step of the podium, I should say. Lewis Woods running really wide out of that. I'm sure that'll be an off track for him, whether or not it gets counted as a slowdown. Yet to be seen. I don't think it does. Usually it doesn't, from my knowledge, but it could be. Miguel Colon still taking the battle to Lucas Souza. Tipped him earlier, felt bad about it, gave the position back. They lost a little bit of time to Chris Beets. Felipe Alves trying to catch up to Chris Beets. Speaking of, Alberto Trio still trying to take the position back from Chris Gritsko. All your on-track action there. Listed off to you really quickly. We're hanging out with this battle for second because it is the closest set of racing that we have, I think, overall. Miguel Colon looking to once again pass Lucas Souza in just a second. Aaron Vasquez coming out of the toe. He will be on his last set of corners, his last time by before the checkered flag. 3 more to keep it smooth and steady. And 2/10 once again separating P2, 3, and 4 for this final position. We'll see if there are any late moves for all of them. Lap traffic, Christian Gritsko, Alberto Trio ahead of them will also be starting their final lap just before Aaron Vasquez rounds the final corner to take his second victory in the Sunday race, cash race leagues. Not league. Sunday cash race. Host session. Takes the win. Sven and Haas coming home second. Jarno Koch third. And Lewis Woods just missing out in fourth. But still, all 3 of them qualify for, I believe, will qualify for the cash final 5K in September. Jackson Resende coming out of the final corner here, 5th on the board. A nice, smooth, clean race for him. Definitely someone we didn't talk a whole ton about at the end of the race, but good finish nonetheless. P5 for him. Paulo Godoy just 8 seconds behind, coming down to the final stretch as well. Jason Allen, I think, playing the fuel race based on how far away he is from Paulo Godoy at the end of this race, but comes home a respectable P7, up 3 positions from where he started. Nico Rizbicki making his way around the final corner as well. And Miguel Colon and Lucas Souza, pass getting done there. Working their way around the final couple corners. Lucas Souza running real wide, but he makes his way over to the checkered flag as well. Our lap traffic, Mitch Bonaventura, Devin Jenkins also finishing. Lucas Finco all have finished as well. Chris Beets, a large gap between him and Felipe Alves, about 1.6 seconds. And these two also take the checkered flag. 11th and 12th, our first 2 individuals who will be outside the top 10. And those top 10 drivers we've just been covering there a moment ago all get $15 in iRacing credits to utilize for tracks and other things in the iRacing circuit. Christian Gritsko taking it home ahead of Albert Trio. And those are our last 2 drivers to take it home for this week's Sunday cash race from NARL. So, go over the results real quick. Give ourselves one last plug of what's going on. That's the qualifying results. Not important to us. That's where everybody started. Where everybody finished, though, that's what's important. With this, Aaron Vasquez going back-to-back winning at the Sunday cash races. He is already qualified, so he is not one of the 3 that get qualified. Sven Haas and Jarno Koch come home 2 and 3, your other 2 podium finishers that get $100 in cash. And those 2, along with Lewis Woods, make their way into the qualifying roster. There we go. Qualifying roster for the 5K final in September. Lewis Woods, Jackson Resende, Paulo Godoy, Jason M. Allen, Nico Rizbicki, Miguel Colon, and Lucas Souza are all your top 10 drivers. The rest of those will get, all of those will get the $15 in iRacing credits. And then Chris Beats, Felipe Alves, Christian Gritzko, Alberto Trio, Lucas Finco, Mitch Buenaventura, and Devin Jenkins are your 17 cars that take the checkered flag. From there, we have a bunch of drivers: Nicholas Rubelar, Thorsten Ulrich, Carmen Forte, and if I hit the buttons right to do the thing, awesome. Carmen Forte, David Bodska, Timo Grossman, Umat Yaxi, Benjamin Tobar, Andrew Lemke, Daniel Lafuente, Nicolas Mateo, Yannick Steinhoff, Eric Bolton, and Thomas Brendel are your 30 drivers that took to the green flag. And these are all the drivers that did not make the checkered flag. So, congratulations to all that took the checkered. Congratulations again to Aaron Vasquez, as well as the rest of our top 10 finishers who all receive prizes for this fantastic stuff. If you want to be a part of this action, check us out. NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com is where you can find all the stuff here for these Sunday league cash races. I'm going to keep jacking this up and saying it's a league. It's not a league. It's a hosted race. My body apparently just wants to keep saying that it is one. It is not one. It is a hosted race. You can find it anywhere. You don't have to be a part of the league. Come show up, have some fun. It's great racing all down the board from what I've seen here today and what I've seen in other weeks when I've been watching and taking an eye to get an idea of what's happening here when I took over the booth this week from Mike Brown, who hopefully will not fire me at the end of this because, we'll find out. Anyway, if you want to be a part of that action, come check us out. NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com is the place to find all the stuff for this race, as well as our Thursday league that has 2 divisions and fantastic racing just like this. So that's it for me. I've been Fettuccini, your host here, who's been spending the last hour and 20 minutes trying to successfully talk. Hopefully he's done so. And we'll see you all not next Sunday, but the following Sunday on the 18th for the next one of these Sunday cash races. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you then.